Good morning, students. Today we'll talk about business communication. Today our topic of discussion will be cross-culture dimensions of business communication. Now, what do you mean by business communication? When the two people are communicating with each other, they are sharing their views, their ideas, terminologies with each other, it is the communication. The way the one person is giving their ideas to another person, the another person is perceiving the same way the one person is giving the idea is exactly the communication. It can be between two people or more than two people also. Now, what exactly means the cross-culture dimension of business communication? Cross-culture means that two different culture people are interacting with each other. So there are a lot of barriers. The two people with the different cultures are interacting with each other. Because if the people who are from different backgrounds, they do not know the another person's culture. They do not know about the terminologies which they use. They do not know how the another person greet in their culture. They do not know how to behave with the another culture. So being with the business management students, we should know the cross-culture dimensions of business communication, because in the today's era of globalization, we have to talk about cross-culture. We have to talk to a lot of people who are from the different cultures. To continue with the two different culture people which they are talking about, we come to the next point of the different culture people is the importance of intercultural communication. Now, what is the importance of intercultural communication? Why it is important? We have to understand the importance, because this is very much important in today's time. Now, the first point will come to this is globalization of the market. Earlier, our Indian economy was used to be the closed economy, right? Now the area is like globalized market. The markets are globalized now. So the importance is much more for the intercultural communication, because the people from different backgrounds, from different companies, from different cultures, from different countries meet with each other and they interact with each other for the business purposes, for the tourism purposes, for the interaction purposes. So we actually need the globalization of the market, and we actually need to understand the importance of intercultural communication. Now we come to the next point is technological advancement. Now why we exactly need the technological advancement and why it is important for intercultural communication? Now technology is very much important in today's era, because we use technology when we get up in the morning to till we sleep in the night. So we use the technology all over day, 24/7. Now without technology in today's life, we cannot think of our life. Now why we need to understand intercultural communication with respect to technological advancement is because intercultural communication is that when two people who are from different culture talking to each other, making them understanding things with each other. Now in the technological advancement, what happens is we need upgraded technology. We need upgraded technology, and when we need technology with the upgradation, we need to talk to people who are actually developed, because Indian economy is not developed economy, it is developing economy. We talk to people who are doing advancements in the technology. So we have to understand their culture so that we can communicate with them properly and we can communicate to them with respect to the technology. Next point is multicultural workforce. Now, because there is an era of MNCs, there is an era of liberalization, privatization, globalization. So MNCs are so much there in the today's in Indian economy. So we have to talk to different kinds of people, because if we are working in the economy where the colleagues are from multicultural backgrounds, they are from the different cultural backgrounds. So we have to talk to them, and when we have to talk to them, we have to understand their culture before talking to them, so that they do not take us offensive to them. Understanding culture is our next topic. Now what exactly the culture means? A culture is complex system of values, traits, morals and customs shared by a society. Now you have to share the values, your traits, the morals with the society, what you actually enrich with your family. Now the next will be the cultural definition will be culture is a system of creating, sending, storing and processing the information. You have to create information, you have to send that information, you have to store that information and you have to process the information while sending it. Characteristic culture is our next topic. Characteristics. What are the characteristics of the culture? Now first is culture is learned. Whenever the child is born in a society, in a family, he does not know what his culture is. He does not know about anything. So the family in which he is born, he adapts that culture. So it is always learned. So in Western culture, in Indian culture, in different culture, there are different variants, there are different ways of explaining the things, there are different values, there are different morals. So in Western culture also, too close means that violation. Means if you are too close to somebody, it means you are violating them. So it is the culture meaning. It can be too close means you are bonding with in some another culture. So it differs with culture to culture. Second point is cultures are inheritatory logical, as in our parents taught us some culture and we are inherently logically following that culture. So in Japan, Barbie doll was a failure because of the toothy smile. So means the toothy smile is not acceptable in Japanese culture. So it is a different variant in their culture. Now the third point of the characteristics of the culture is culture combines the visible and invisible. Now what do you mean by visible and invisible is that culture is combining both the things, the visible things and the invisible things. So in Japan, harmony with the environment is important. So you have to be think about the harmony with the environment. You have to think about the green economy. You have to think about the green environment. So it is the invisible thing that you are making a harmony, and the visible thing is that your environment is beautiful, your environment is greenful and your environment is wonderful. So it is the combination of visible and invisible. Now the fourth point for the characteristics is culture is dynamic. Now it keeps on changing. Now dynamic means it keeps on changing. Culture can't be stick to one thing always. So it has to be dynamic. It has to change with the time period. Culture changes as a result of migration. When people changes their position, their countries, they migrate from one country to another country, it keeps on changing. You are developing your own culture, you're adapting another cultures, and culture changes as a result of migration. It can change as a result of disasters also. There are a lot of times when the disasters comes. So when the disaster comes, people, they change their culture. It changes because of the wars also, because when the war was there and you do not follow another culture and there is a war, so you keeps on following different cultures. So it can be because of the wars also. Next topic is the dimensions of culture. Now there are 4 dimensions of culture. The first one is context. Second one is individualism. Third is communication style, and the fourth one is time orientation. Now I am going to explain one by one all of these. Now what do you mean by context? Now I am going to explain the first dimension, that is context. The dependence to environment of a situation is the context. Now the context means that there is a dependence to the environment of a situation. Means if the environment will follow you, then only you are able to do it. Means if the intercultural communication is there, the environment supports you to do it. You are depending totally upon the environment for the particular situation. Second point in the context will be the low context cultures depend less on the environment of a situation to convey meaning than do high context culture. Low context culture people depend less, and if you are comparing with the high context people culture. Next point will be low context culture people are North American, Western Europe people who are less dependent, and high context people are the Japanese, Chinese, Arab people. In the low context people, culture tends to be logical, analytical and action oriented. Now, the second dimension of the culture is individualism. Now, what do you mean by individualism? An attitude of independence and freedom from control. So, when you are independent, you are individual, you are making yourself as an individual identity. So, that is individualism, the attitude of the independence and the freedom from the control. So, you are not allowing anybody to control you. You are on your own something, another different identity. You have some kind of different identity. So this means that individualism. Members of many low context culture value independence and freedom from control. There are a lot of people from the low context culture people who value the independence, who value the individualism and who wants freedom from the control. So do not want the people who control them. So they are on their own, free from another, the control people. Tradition, ceremony and social rules are more important in high context people as compared to the low context people who value the independence, who value the freedom from control. When we talk about the high context people, they value more about the tradition, the following traditions which are going on and the ceremonies which going on, the rituals which going on in the society and the social rules. So they really want to follow the rules which actually the elders are following from past many years. So they do not want individualism, they do not consider it as important, they do not consider individualism as an important criteria. So this is a different dimension of a culture.